Hi everyone, this is Professor Christy Grooms. So I'm going to go over how I would approach this audience analysis. Just so you know, there's a lot of ways to approach things, to look at things, to do an analysis for an audience or to do a target market audience analysis. But this is kind of how I would approach, and you guys can kind of go from there. Okay, so first of all, this is geared towards a communications campaign or a messaging campaign. All right. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is choose an audience segment, so just like a portion of the population. And you want to give yourself a little bit of parameters so that way you have something to work with. You don't want to be too broad. We don't want to say all the people in the world, or we don't want to say, just women. You want to have a few ideas as to what your target audience would look like. So maybe you pick a gender or a geographical area to start with, or an age group, or even a profession, or even a couple of those and put those together. Like you might want to say, I'm going to target women students ages 18 to 24. Okay, so you can put a couple of those together to get a good idea, but you want to keep it somewhat loose so that we have a group of people that we can also learn about. Okay, the idea is that we're not going to make up some magical mystical person and then try and find them or hope that somehow our message reaches them. This isn't like Tinder or Bumble where you have this perfect person in mind with the perfect looks and income and hobbies, and so we're swiping and swiping and swiping until we find them. That's not really realistic. We need to have a group of people that we're going to try and actually reach. So we are not digging for a person, but we are reaching an actual audience. So once you pick a general group, right, we get a couple parameters, then we want to find out more about them. And then from there, we can pick a little bit more specific audience, okay? So we're going to go out and we're going to figure out some demographics. We can find out, so let's say we had picked a geographical area to start with, and we said basically we want to target women in Salt Lake City, okay? So at that point I might want to find out what different kind of age groups I have, like how much of the population of women is older or younger. Maybe I want to know what their income levels are. What are their education levels? Where are they in the family life cycle? And that might kind of tie in with age. Maybe it wouldn't. What are their religions? What are the socioeconomic statuses? What are their disabilities? Those are all demographics, right? So then we're going to find out about them through our research. Okay, so some of the things with demographics, this is a way that you can present them in your paper. And with this, you'll notice that each bullet is cited using an in-text APA citation. So remember, with every type of source, we have two citations. We've got in-text, and then we have reference page. So in-text is just in parentheses the publisher or the author's name, comma, year, and then your punctuation is always after, okay? So that super long one where it would say like Salt Lake Community College, comma fact, or 2014, comma fact book, comma Salt Lake Community College, retrieved from blah, 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 that all goes at the end. But each bullet we want to connect it to that longer reference by putting it here, okay? The other thing is you'll notice that it's listed in bullets. When it's statistics or straight up information that we're looking for, it is best communicated in bullets or tables or sometimes even charts. So whatever you choose, I would recommend bullets, but you can also do it in a table or a chart. Just make sure it's properly formatted by APA. Tables and charts end up having a different kind of APA formatting, okay? And then also you'll see that all of this information is credible and it's specific to help us make decisions. Now, some of this will be more helpful than others, but it's information that exists. This is real about our people, okay? So these demographics are actually coming off of Salt Lake Community College students. So we're seeing here that 22% enrolled directly from high school. This is the age group. 57% are between ages 18 and 24. And so we're saying, okay, I want to reach people who are ages 18 to 24. So I know that 50% of this population is that. So I know that there actually is that real market, right? And then some other information that may or may not help us. We'll see later on, right? That's what you would do an analysis for. Okay, the next thing we want to get are the psychographics of our audience. So these are the things that are lifestyles, personality traits, values, attitudes, activities, interests, social statuses, beliefs. All of these things are psychographics, okay? So again, we've got an idea of what our group is, a segment, and then we're going to go and actually find out about them. What are their actual beliefs, personality traits, and all of that. So you'll notice here I've got some psychographics listed. Again, these are credible and specific data to help inform decisions. Okay, so I've got on here, these are still statistics, most of these, right? 71% want to earn a degree. 41% choose this because of affordability. There is a belief with millennial generations that multitasking is a good thing. Okay, very specific. Again, notice that it's listed in bullets, and then each bullet is cited using an APA in-text citation. And then also notice that a lot of this information, the psychographics, are tying into demographics to fill in the context. So you see this final bullet here, it says the majority age group, referred to as the millennial generation, are multitaskers. Well, how do I know that this is a millennial generation or that age group? Because in my demographics, I chose an age group of 18 to 24, right? So then I can use this as a psychographic. Does that make sense? We're kind of connecting. Everything is kind of feeding back into itself and reinforcing each other. Okay, the next step is we're going to analyze. So we've gone out and we've collected this information. We have this raw data, and now we need to figure out what it means. So based on the information you gathered and nothing else, okay, so the whole idea is that we're not going out and we're going off on a guess. We're not going on a cuff. We're not going off on predetermined ideas. So based on the information that we have, what conclusions can you draw? What considerations do you need to make or be careful of? What would be helpful to this population? How can I craft my message to suit this audience? Are there any rules that I should follow? Where will I put my message so that my audience will see it? These are the kinds of things that you want to take into consideration. If you make an assumption or you draw a conclusion saying, my project is going to do this and this, and you don't have any data to back it up, then that's not a good conclusion because you have no data to back it up. And that's really hard to sell to a professor, to a client, or something like that, right? So you need to have the data to substantiate any sort of conclusions or decisions that you're going to make, okay? All right, so here's a little example of an audience analysis. So notice that it's really brief and to the point. It's really only a paragraph. You may need 2 paragraphs, but it shouldn't be super, super lengthy. Okay. Also, this is making solid inferences. So that just means like conclusions or decisions or getting ideas from these demographics and psychographics. So right here, the sentence says, this audience is relatively young and so may not have had time to develop strong study habits and skills. Okay, that's a pretty reasonable statement to make. Also, there are thoughtful considerations and information to help inform the message. Okay, so finally, being behind in class and struggling with assignments creates a tremendous amount of stress and shame. So those are things that we want to consider. Also, this addresses beliefs of the audience that could help inform the approach. So it says, the audience has beliefs that multitasking is an effective way to get work done. So in our messages, we either have to address this as a myth or we have to remember that they're wanting to multitask and not putting just all of their attention on one thing. Those are considerations to help make decisions for our project. Okay, so quick recap. You want to pick a group to target as your audience, but not get them so defined that we don't know who that person is or where to find them, okay? Then we want to research. We want to find out what real people look like. What do they actually believe, think, and do, and have credible sources that verify that, okay? Other experts that say that this is true, surveys, those sorts of things, okay? And then last, we're going to analyze this information in order to make good decisions based on data. And then once you really know your audience, you've got your purpose, then everything else falls into place. It's easy to know what channels to use. It's easy to know how formal or informal your message should be. It's easy to know where to put the message and how to distribute it to them. And all of those things will make sense when you've got your purpose and you've got your audience. So this is that audience piece. So make sure you let me know if you have any other questions. Have fun!